G'day, g'day, g'day. Mathematical KM. Remember their initials, not a title. Keith Malumbi. Coming to you with the final rounds, round number 7 of the Cold Comfort Cup at Canberra Chess Club. And I've got the black pieces weighing in at 1408, playing Cam Cunningham, who's 1460, so 52 points uphill. And so far, since the Do No Harm video, we are on 5.5 out of, it would be 4.5 points out of 5 possible points. 4 wins and a draw on the trot coming into this game. So let's see how we go. He takes the centre, Fianchetto. Okay, this is decision point number 1. Strange I didn't think too much about it at the time, but I have been looking at the Mittenberger Gambit with the pawn forward here. But elected not to play that, stayed in the Hippo. Year of the Water Horse. And he's gone the 3 pawns attack, Pseudo-Austrian attack. Now, it's at this point that Solomon's course goes with trying to keep more pawns defending f5 than if he plays forward. He'll have 1 defender, we'll have 1 attacker. Not really good enough. We want to have enough attackers to be able to take that pawn if it pushes. And we do not want to use our g-pawn. So currently we've only got 1. He would have 1. We need to do something about that. So it's fight for the f5 square and also arrange to play c5. That's the guts of Solomon's Hippo course. So let's have a look. Okay, now we have 2 defenders, not including the pawn we don't want to defend. He brings out another knight. Computer is liking knight to e7. Makes sense. That would be another piece fighting for that e7, and that makes a lot of sense. I played, don't know why we've got the double tap. A move favoured by Hikaru when he's playing the Hippo. Just keeping that bishop out and that knight out, and the bishop would have come with a check. It's blown out the eval a little bit, but it's a bit of a prophylactic move. Knowing that currently he's only got the 1 piece attacking the square and we've got the 2 defenders, I thought I could fit in that a6 move. He brings out a bishop. Let's take a look. That's actually, I consider it afterwards in the harsh light of day. Normally this move is only played when there is no pawn on f4. And putting it there kind of is working on stopping that knight from coming. Maybe it would be worth playing if the knight did come in, and the knight's not doing any initial damage being there. And the reason for not really putting it there is the H pawn can come forward, and if the H pawn comes forward to here, then we pretty much need to keep going, and we might as well have done that in 1 move. The computer wants us to play b5, which is one of the standard ones, and it has the potential of threatening that knight. But again, played. Okay, now he's got this battery aimed over there. And let's just do 1 move at a time. I've played b6, getting ready to play c5, which is the standard move in Solomon's course. Is when there's a big centre, you attack the inside. The outside pawn, that's a central pawn. But it is a bit interesting in general, he doesn't like us to attack a central pawn that has major pieces behind it without any bishops in the way. So there's competing thoughts on that one. He's castled, and now do we really want to get rid of that D pawn? I don't think so. And it's the pawn itself. How are you going to attack it? It's got 4, count them, 4 defenders. So what are we to do? Let's go. I finally brought the knight to e7, giving us another defender on that f pawn. And at some point, I didn't quite get brave enough to play it, but castling and then tending to be king here to give us the 2 defenders on the h pawn. But it's difficult to Lego fit that g pawn forward because of that f pawn. So there's... I seem to remember Solomon going through a situation that was a little bit similar to this in the course, where it was technically okay to castle short, and the king ends up a little exposed. So looking at what he's done, and I must admit I was thinking it's nice that that h pawn only came forward 1 square, not 2. And I'm thinking that he's trying to give himself that g-pawn. That g-pawn is probably going to be coming forwards. And I had a bit of a thought that let's get in there first before the g-pawn comes forward and threaten that e-pawn, see if we can get the e-pawn to... Be very nice if it came forward and I just pushed my d-pawn and it all got locked up in the middle. Be quite happy. Don't think it's what he wants. He's done all this work getting that lined up behind that pawn. So that would be superior for black. Now he can get 2.37 if on the eval with e times f5. And then it wants me to take back with the e-pawn. I would be thinking about taking back with the knight at that point. Threatening the bishop, and anyway, see what actually happens. It gets quite complex with this big manoeuvring game behind the pawn screens. Now that is interesting. And I noticed this immediately. And let's see, we're at move 10. When we get to move 15, he'll have 28 minutes on the clock and I've got 42. So we'll keep an eye on that. So I was getting ahead on the clock. But what I thought about initially was, and I know my light bishop's nowhere near it, but if my bishop can take that knight, 1, it's hanging, and 2, it would be a bishop fork on rooks. And I guess 3, that pawn might be tempted to go forward or more likely to take my pawn over here. So it'll allow what I'm hoping for. Let's just go the 1 move there, thanks computer. I've fianchettoed over here. And if he were to take with the e pawn, I'd take the knight, and then I'd have that fork, and that would be beautiful. And if he takes right now, and it's his best move by far, so you have to take a look at that. If he takes with the g-pawn, then the computer wants me to take back with the g-pawn. And then is he going to take with that pawn? What's going to happen? Then he goes rook g1, and I'm meant to go bishop f6, not... Well, I'd be tempted to take again with my pawn from there. Then it would be a bit of a struggle to get my king to castle queenside, but would be interesting. But he does not take that f-pawn. But looking at that eval, I think I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time. And for those of you who watch these videos, that big pawn centre on the king side could be the go. I might go the Mittenberger next time. But he brings a bishop into the middle, further protecting that one. Protect it all he wants. Should he take anything with it, then for now, the hanging knight's still hanging and it's still a fork. And what did I do? I brought another knight in, thinking it can maybe come in and give more pressure on there. So I'd have the pawn, the knight and the bishop. That would be 3. Only 2 defenders. I could take that e-pawn at that point. That makes a degree of sense. Let's see if it was probably... taking with the f-pawn now. Oh, that's for me. We'll come forward back to the choice. But now that rook is backing up the g-pawn, and I'm not sure if he's noticed, but it's the sort of thing people can miss. The g-pawn is protected by this knight. So that's kind of interesting, and it would also mean that it wouldn't be a fork if the knight were to be taken. He could then move the other rook. Let's just have the one move. So I decided to break it. So this is the first capture. And I've taken, and a lot depends on taking back with the knight's his best move. And taking back with the bishop pretty much forces me to take back with my bishop. And then he takes. And from here, I had a little bit of a plan. Kind of hoping to be able to develop my queen and castle long. And I'm thinking the best way of achieving that might be get this knight out of the way of the queen, threatening this pawn and this bishop. And the knight for that's a strong bishop, part of the battery over to where I could even, if I get that bishop, it's potentially castling short and getting a rook on this might be okay. But so developing that knight, and it lets the queen see a pretty strong diagonal. And once the queen's out, the king can choose between the two castles. And at the moment, it's the ball's in Cam's court. He realises that I'd probably take that strong bishop, so he moves the bishop back. Now he's only got... the queen is the only protector of that pawn. So is there anything we can do about that? It's a little bit of a plan. And the answer I'm hoping is yes. The answer is aiming at that pawn. And so we develop our d7 knight to threaten his hanging knight. He could shift something to protect it. I could then choose to take it and they swap off. He's got to do something because it is hanging. And pretty much he's played the move I was hoping most for. And it's not actually one of his top 3. Moving a rook to e1, either rook, are the top 2 moves to protect it. So that if I do take it, he'd be developing a rook to a pretty, decent square. And if not protecting it, then knight to g3 is keeping it in the neighbourhood and being fairly threatening. But what he played was, and I know I'm against Hippo Chess, but if it doesn't happen, well then I've got my knights are looking after each other, and if he just moves it away it's not so bad, but he wipes my knight off the board. Now, I don't take back with the other knight, or even with the bishop. I want to get the queen developed, and what better way than bringing it out? We're now making a threat on that f-pawn. And you might notice, if I can win that f-pawn, I'll be up 1 point of material, and as well as that, the pawn I'm up will be a central pawn. So it's only a small edge I'm kind of looking for. But if I get that edge, take it towards an endgame. And one of the big things about taking a small edge towards the endgame, if you want to get rid of the big flashy attacks, is getting the ladies off. His queen and his king are on the same diagonal, lined up with the pawn that I'm threatening. So kind of hoping random move, take that pawn with, not with the knight, but with the queen, pinning his queen to the king. At that point, blocking with the bishop's no good. I'd just take the bishop with the queen. So almost certainly it would get the ladies off. He'd probably take my queen, and that gets my knight in a good spot. Unlikely, but the threat would be there for a knight here with a fork of rook and king. That's all the thoughts that are in my head. It's been a very manoeuvring game. And let's see where it moves. 17. The clock is 21 minutes for Cam and 42 minutes for me. And it's a shame. What has been quite the arm wrestle. It's happened to the best of us. It certainly happened to me. It was the game deserved to go a little further, but yeah, unfortunate whoops. There goes the queen. And he's shaking my hand at that point. So that does take us to 5.5 out of 6 possible points since our video do no harm. And we'll rack that one up. That's the end of the Cold Comfort Cup. Next week at the Canberra Chess Club is short form chess, so I've yet to decide if I've got a week off or if I'll be in there for that one, but that's a little bit too quick to be recording the games anyway. So bye for now from the Mathematical KM.